Thanks to Occultists Anonymous and our Mage the Awakening podcast actual play YouTube thing called Into the West. Thank you, of course, to all our folks who follow, subscribe, comment, including the whoever was on the last one. I've already forgotten your name and we missed a week. I'm sorry. And then maybe an hour after we posted it, I got a comment of, they're back. And I'm like, thanks. Were you guys missing us? We appreciate it. And of course, our patrons who support us monetarily, support the show, help us buy equipment, upgrades, art, stuff like that. Thank you to Zoltan, Vortex Falcon, Vincent, Verhex, Thomas, the Mastigos Queen, Terry D, Terran, Starfish, Sheksara, Sean. Sheksara and Sean back to back is just always going to ruin me. Rafio, Puppeteer, Porter, Polkadot Hubris, Foog, Perry, Other Guy, Nick, Mozart D Minor, Moku, Milo V3, Live Love Lesbian, Klaus, Cat Feathers, Camo, James, I'm the Real 06, George, Jeff, Ethan, Emil, Doc, Chris, Buck, Bernie, Alsrit, Alexander, Al, Aiden, Alice, and Adele. Thank you all so much for your support. I really appreciate it. We all appreciate it. And I don't think I'm going to do that in reverse alphabetical order again because the cognitive dissonance messed with my brain and I could barely get through it.
The flow was not there.
It was not there.
No bars this week.
No bars, yes.
He's having so much trouble.
Broke the dancing. Send in the dancing lobsters. Okay. Yep. If you recognize Send in the Dancing Lobsters, please leave a comment down below. Because you are my people. There's this. There's the elder millennial category.
Justice for Amanda Bynes.
Oh boy. Cool. When we last left the group, they decided that they would jump into the center of a giant storm with swarming storm spirits all about it and just drop into an emanation realm. Like you do in Mage.
Possibly go wrong.
Yeah.
How else are we going to figure out what's happening inside?
Yeah. Well, and specifically, we're not even going full Mage here. This isn't like what's inside? It's like we know there's a thing inside because we want to find a time entity of some form that apparently the time dog says, oh yeah, no, totally one in there. Good luck. And the gang was like, we're going in. Actually, I believe Isabel called up on the telepathic walkie-talkie. It was like, hey, can you guys be here? Hey, we're going to jump in. And everybody was like, yeah, okay, sure.
It was legit.
Like, no hesitation.
What'd you call it? No, I did give everyone wings ahead of time.
Correct.
And then we jumped in.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So what you could call this is a swan dive.
There we go. That's good. I like that.
Hopefully it is not a swan song.
Nice. Mm.
As we're going down, Theo says, this is one of those decisions where if I survive, it'll be a great story later, right?
Yes.
It is already a great story.
Yeah,
Even
actually,
if you were not to
that's true.
survive.
After breaching, because we're already past that point, right? Now that you breach into the emanation realm itself, at what point, Chris, does Isabel mention to everybody that most everybody who has come in here doesn't come out? Or is that just a thing we don't bring up?
That's just up.
Theo just kind of took that for granted.
Yeah.
That's true. You're doing mage things. You're flying into... Yeah.
It's like storms above and below.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's the kind of the really pretty picture you get sometimes from like airplanes where you have the cloud sandwich, but more like a cloud lasagna. Where we have layers and layers.
Swirling maelstroms in
yes.
layers. Yeah.
Which
Gotta be kidding me here.
We have a pizza cake of clouds, you're saying. What lasagna is, everybody? Pizza cake. Don't forget it.
Pizza cake.
It's pizza cake.
Oh,
that's what
that
it is.
took me a second.
Yeah.
Pizza
That one hurts. Yeah. So yes, thank you, Craig, for asking, because yes, that segues into the what are we seeing? For the immediate vicinity, there are supernal beings of forces and I believe I mentioned last time, but I can't remember if it was on screen.
Yes.
These are across the supernal worlds. So there are angels, atavisms, shades, moirae, and things that don't necessarily fall into the nice, clean categories of supernal world, supernal beings. And a lot of them don't even give you second glance. Some of them you avoid just because when a literal pillar of fire that's like 8 feet tall just kind of floats forward, just burning everything in its way, you just kind of veer out of the way and it continues doing its thing, because why get in the way of something like that when you could just fly the other way? You are dealing with the fact that you are flying by wings, so stamina is going to become a problem eventually. For the time being, I am kind of under the assumption that y'all are physically fit, and the wings themselves, bring the muscle strength and power in order to actually enable long flight. And So yes, you have clouds above, clouds below, various weather pattern things that you are used to seeing out on the prairie and desert of Colorado. But then as you have, continued flying with no real sense of direction, actually, let me pause there. Is there anything that you all might do to get a sense of direction? What are we doing?
Oh, not sense of direction, but a spell just for like a baseline level of protection, just for like accidents.
Sure.
Is just like a compelling spell that gets forces and time together. More or less like a red light, green light, but like
I like that.
We just won't happen to be where a lightning bolt is, right?
I like that. Yep.
Yeah, with all these beings of various power, I feel like we're like in a micro stage of a sport game.
Yeah.
The smaller ones you have to worry about, but there's also some giant big ones.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And Chris, no need to roll that because that's well within Isabel's set of skills, though do mark it down as under spell control, because that I think will end up being the bigger challenge. Yes.
I would probably have to overreach.
Because you're using time.
Yeah.
And you're going to be using... Okay, yeah. So let's go ahead and calculate that one up for me, please. Yes, because we do want to try and figure that out.
We're near supernals, and I'm going to probably overreach.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
Getting that fire pillar again.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Though actually, that reminds
Listen, I've been storing a lot of paradox in my mage colon, and it's about time that I take a fat dump in here.
No. Oh, actually, you will be safe. Each emanation provides the same benefits as a verge, a +2 bonus, and no paradox risk when using the signature arcanum.
Yeah. We're using forces here, so okay.
Fantastic.
That's
in case
fine.
Anybody is unclear, the center of the maelstrom is keyed to forces.
No fair.
Yeah.
GM.
No interference from the time side.
Because the spell
spell itself has forces involved.
Yep. Yeah. If it were combined spell casting, like doing two of these spells to the effect, that would be different. But this is
makes sense.
Both. Cool.
That's an exceptional success.
Heck yeah. Yeah, no problem.
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and assume that you're going to take some form of condition.
Yeah, would love one.
Yeah, which is +2 bonus for navigating the emanation realm, right? This is the like you cast the spell, and I would imagine, because Isabel doesn't have a lot of experience with verges and emanation realms, like you are prepared to overreach, right? And then
for sure,
it just flows, and you're like, yo, I am in tune with this, right?
It feels great in here.
Yeah. And especially because like this is a step beyond just the, I have connection, like, and I'm getting along with this magic, but this is tied to your legacy, right? Your legacy is more or less, you don't necessarily know the full history, but there's some clear connection here. It's either born here or this is the foundation or something. But yeah, it's like, okay, we're vibing here. The vibes are good, man. So yeah, I like that. That handles a lot of the we'll say mundane, natural as things get in an emanation realm, weather, things that are caused by supernal beings and stuff like that. This will provide a shielding effect for like Clash of Wills and stuff like that.
Great.
So speaking of the weather, as yes, we have swirling clouds, some great views. It is also lit in there is a sun setting somewhere down below. Though it doesn't ever seem to shift even as you are continuing to fly. So maybe it's less of a sun setting and more of there is some form of light out somewhere below you. Because and you get some of the like the God ray light shafts coming up through places in the clouds instead of coming down. And
but that is still down, right?
Correct. You have a definite sense of that is down. If you pause for a second, there's gravitational tug, generally speaking, in that direction. But after about an hour of flying, you come to the first kind of sensation. As I imagine Isabel Petrichor is in the lead. And are you guys, ducks, and flying in a V, or is it a solitaire diamonds? And, what is our tactical layout here? Mostly for fluff, not actually for mechanics.
I would imagine it's just like try and keep up. Like not in a taunty way, but in just like it's gonna get wild. So just like try and stay with me.
Yeah, basically I'm just trying to follow wherever Isabel's going.
Gotcha. Ralph, Craig, what do you guys?
I think just we're still like going down, right?
No, forward. This point.
Oh, okay. So we are okay.
Yeah, we're staying in this layer of the lasagna.
Yeah, because going down is stormy clouds, going up is stormy clouds, but here you're kind of in this section in the middle. I'm just talking how you are flying in relation to one another.
I think I'd be a little above and behind Isabel.
Sure.
Cool. Ralph, any thoughts?
Yeah, I was waiting for you to provide a description because I wanted to ask a question and then mention something that Legba was going to do right at the beginning because you asked about orientation spells. So the first question is, how can you elaborate more on what his experience was with the outward and inward eye once he got in here?
It is a massive. You have more or less a sphere of uninterrupted vision.
Cool.
Like there's a couple spots that are blocked out just because of the nature of like clouds. Like if you find a solid cloud, you're not able to peer into it. But a lot of it is you're seeing through the nooks and crannies. And by solid, I do mean like physically it is solid, not as in because clouds are fluffy water vapor.
Right.
There's some spots that are just like I can see the surface of a cloud, very similar to what you were standing on before you jumped into the maelstrom.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it is an unimpeded sense of air, right?
Cool.
Out to the vision, which is probably for one of the rare times, other than when you're like out and about, where you have this sense of the sphere of your vision, right? But yes, down below and up above, you definitely get, gnarlier wind patterns and storminess. I think even as you're flying, looking at the level below you, you can see occasionally the big swirl of what would be like the eye of a hurricane. Like a size 1. What am I thinking? Category 1. Thank you. Or occasionally as you all are flying through, you'll see the actual like funnel of a actual tornado or twister appearing without any surface beneath it. So that's the initial as you all are flying out, but as we get in, there are weirder things out there.
You only see a size 1 hurricane in Naruto's palm.
Well done. Yep. Took me a second.
So with that, as we're proceeding, Cloak would improvise a space spell of knowing and then get consent from the rest of the cabal to provide everyone with just a duration knowledge spell of space so that people are able to perceive direction as it is described here, or let's not say described. You said there's gravity and stuff like that, but whatever directions are assigned here. Because even though, the pull is down, we're in an emanation realm. That's not necessarily earth below. We might feel our weight, but that doesn't mean that is down.
Right. Correct.
So
I like that. Yeah. So a sense of, okay, this is our orientation, and the classic, dwarven, I can't get turned around underground.
Yes, exactly.
I like that.
That kind of thing, so that we all just have some perception of it. So it's an intuitive understanding. And in the event that anybody gets lost, you might have an idea where somebody was heading. We can communicate telepathically, but if they say, I'm going that way forward, then we can say, oh, okay, I can feel that.
Yeah.
I don't have to ask for a spell or teleport. So
I like that.
Just to kind of smooth it out. And then the other thing is, and this won't happen now because he wants this to be a trial, right? He is going to be prepared in the event that for some reason this becomes more difficult for us to pass through. He's going to think of some space-based lubricant such that friction is reduced. We just move through the air more easily. He's not doing it immediately, but in the same way that we're moving between the raindrops, right? He's like, if it ever becomes necessary for us to get through, he's going to make it such that we take up no space and we can just go right through.
I like that. Yeah, since have it on the hip, ready.
Yes, exactly.
Gotta use lube.
Yep,
exactly. Hey, gotta do it.
Makes it easier. I like that. Okay, cool. So yeah, as you all are, flying, like I said, it's about an hour before you get hit with the first sense of, oh, right, we are not in Kansas anymore.
Cool.
And there is no visual indicator whatsoever, but you are, flapping more or less to maintain. And then there's one more flap, and all of a sudden you are flipped gravitationally. So the downward force that you had been fighting against suddenly is inverted, and now you're feeling kind of like you're upside down, which just because of the nature of how wings work. And so you're doing this sudden 180 to just kind of flip over. It's disorienting for a second just because of the spin, but you're like, okay, cool. We're still going
dive, and then
It's just like, okay, that was weird. And you have this sense of, okay, down is up, but I could remember which one is which, and just continuing forward. And that's it for 15 minutes. And then you're out the other side and you flip back around. It's like, okay, that was just a sphere of gravity that was just altered in some way. And that's like the first little, that's the little tease of, okay, stuff is going to be weird here. Right. And for narrative sake, we're just going to talk about some of these because most of these are not a challenge for y'all because you can see them and experience them.
I know what happened. Songbird was here. and he had just yeeted some people into space. The spell's left over.
It's just passing through.
Exactly. We just came through, right? It's the aftermath.
There used to be some vampires here.
There were some vampires going Mach 17.
They just went up, right?
So yes, flying, you've got your tornadoes, your hurricanes. Okay, here's these gravitational surges. In some places, the light that is coming up, those God rays, get twisted up and shifted, and the light looks, those God rays that are normally straight, nice, neat lines are suddenly in this jagged, shifting pattern. Were we playing D&D, dazzling lights kind of thing, where it's just going haywire, and just light itself is being kind of twisted. And when you fly through, even it's almost like flying through a kaleidoscope. And so even looking at your own selves, you don't, physically are fine.
Yeah.
But the light is bouncing and changing, and it is visually disorienting, but your bodies are unaffected. Yes.
Do we have to roll 1d8 to determine the effect of the light on our bodies as a consequence of going?
Wouldn't that be prismatic spray though, not dazzling lights?
Yeah, it would be. Well, fair enough. All right.
Don't come in here trying to out-nerd me, sir.
Yeah, I'm not trying to out-nerd you. I'm trying to co-nerd you.
One of these days, I'm actually going to have enough gumption to do a co-GM kind of thing. Yeah. Anyways, we probably would not film that. Sorry, folks at home. That would just be a chaotic mess. Anyways.
Or the best thing ever.
We'll have to play test it first. And then you start to see the other aspects of forces start to get combined. Locations of heat that begin to merge with tornadoes, and we have the actually scientifically real fire whirls, which is one of those oh, that looks beautiful. We're gonna come over here.
Yep.
And at one point, you are flying through normal air, at least visually, and I would say, probably, yeah. So Helena and Isabel would recognize that there is something here. It is definitely being held back by the environmental shield that you have provided. But for both of you, you were like, I do not recognize this energy. But it is sickening. And yes,
I see.
It's like, I don't like this.
I see.
This is not great. And you continue on and fly through. Which is where we get to one of the first supernal beings that appears to be sapient. A lot of the stuff you've been seeing has been just these fleeting single element beings. This one is actually sitting on the solid surface that's similar that Ralph had seen shooting, Legba had seen, similar to the cloud space above. And there's a definite kinship that Theo Babasera might feel, because it is a death supernal being in very classic cloak robe with a large scythe. But there is not a empty hood or anything like that. There's this face. It's a human male, but it kind of shifts and takes on different different faces. Right? There's a couple different of them, and I will say that you all go ahead, Ralph.
Question about the description. Is it, do they have the deathly pallor of a cadaver?
No.
Or are they shifting skin tones as well beneath their garments?
Yeah. This is you
Okay.
like you were
So all the traits are shifting.
Correct. Yeah.
Thanks.
So yeah, different skin tones and stuff like that. Different morphology. So
Yeah.
so it's definitely like wearing different people's faces.
Cool. Thanks.
And I will say that as you are flying by, there is even this I don't want to say weary. Yeah, we'll say weary. Hand comes off of the scythe as you'll walk by, and it's a wave
We're walking by?
flying by. Yeah, y'all are welcome to stop and chat if you wish, but yeah, otherwise, yeah, it's just there and sitting on a pile of clouds, just like every and the reason that besides the fact that he will say is waving, being weird, but this is the first one that you have seen that has been at rest, right? Everything else is going somewhere, doing something. You've come by a couple little storm dogs bouncing around and chasing each other, right? You've seen these things in action and moving, and this one is just like sit back, chill. Just
that's gotta pique Isabel's interest.
yeah, just like, please go, please
Like,
go.
how do you
If we keep flying,
she'll just, like,
was
fly
gonna
down and,
immediately
like,
cast a scry and be like, just his mouth. Hello.
Go ahead, Greg. Chris.
I'm going to try and attempt to land?
Yeah. There's, like I said, think, kind of Greco-Roman couch that he's kind of sitting on and, relaxing. Well, again, the kind of Charin, lean on the scythe in this particular case. But yeah, there's quite a large space. Actually, in Legba, this is, oh yeah, I know exactly where I can land because that's solid. I can't see through this. And so it's very, but yeah, imagine 1, 2, 3, 4 landing.
And a shocking display of excitement is Theo will raise an eyebrow. Being close.
Yeah.
With
and to be fair, you have seen other death supernal beings out and about, things that especially like in the case of like shades, the death forces, you have like other Grim Reaper-esque things with like blades of flame that you're like, that's a forest fire. That's a forest fire that takes out a village, right?
So to be clear, Theo wasn't. This is Isabel's thing, so Theo wasn't going to. But now that Isabel's diverting, she's totally fangirling.
Yeah,
for Theo, yeah.
Everyone's free to sort of enjoy, right? It's an experience for the cabal together.
Yep.
Helena's like, this thing makes her uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So she's just sort of watching cautiously a bit behind everyone else. Like, she's not trying to talk to it. But she will listen carefully and watch it.
Do not trust you, death mage or supernal being.
Yeah, that's just like chilling on a cloud rock and waving at us as we go by. I don't like that.
Yeah, it is. It was very much watching you, right? Like as soon as you could start to see it, it had been watching you as you came. But yeah,
she is watching it back.
Like bows to the supernal being, and then says, "Shade, I presume. How many deaths have you seen?"
It's a rude question, and like fluent high speech, but none yet.
I, as a mortal man, have seen many. That is the context in which I ask.
Compared to the four of you, and like you have that sense of like death scan. So you'd like, no, you all much more deeply in death than I am. And
How
as
come you to be at rest in this land of motion and of no land?
I am waiting.
May I ask what for?
My time. Not yet my time to return to the supernal realm. Is the like, but you guys here home
Stygia? Mm. Are you
until
of Stygia?
no. Well, hang on. One say that one more time, Ralph, and make sure I'm hearing you.
Are you of Stygia?
Okay. Um yeah, so he says no, but then pauses and goes and yes. Um Stygia is where you, well, pauses, looks you up and down, turns to Theodosia, where you might be able to find me. Which I know
Right.
for Legba's like, bye!
Yes.
And what events would precipitate your return?
A sad and glorious thing that is yet to come for you all. You all are too new, too young. As you're speaking with him,
Too early?
perhaps. Well, no, you all are where you should be. You aren't early or late, just
Oh.
before my time.
See.
And while you're talking with him, a singular face starts to kind of be at the forefront more often. Kind of like gaunt, narrow face. Nose looks like it's kind of tweaked to one side. This is a very specific man, right? There's this little glow that he has behind his irises. But yeah, like there's other faces that come and go, but this face keeps coming to the forefront and seems to be like the predominant face. No, I am here resting before taking up my labor.
May we trade wisdom?
What do you have to trade that I do not know?
Do you know my name?
I know several of your names, but your final name, no. The name by which I will come to claim you, I do not.
Damn, that's hard as shit.
Ah,
He was just like lapping all this up. Everything he said is just like perfect sense to her.
Right.
so I will meet you in the end of my days.
Oh. Unlikely. Possible, but unlikely. I cannot foretell the future or your future, but no. No, your age, you're likely to die before it is my time.
I wonder. I see a face on you. And he describes it. Bit of crooked nose, bit of lambent eye. Why do you let that face come to the fore?
It is. I am tied to many, but there is one who will usher in my role.
Huh.
He is fated.
And you can anticipate the one that ushers in your role through his visage appearing on your own.
One of many, yes. He does not do things alone, but there is one.
Theo's gonna give Max just a little elbow, like, pretty cool, eh?
So you are of a death not yet
Possible.
experienced?
No.
Made? Invented?
Correct. Man has not yet learned how, and like reaches up and like touches the blade, which is just a simple steel blade, right? There's nothing that stands out to y'all, but touches it. And man has yet to learn to wield my scythe. But
Does your scythe have a name?
he turns it, and on it you can see in high speech, progress.
Theo would just give a little head bow and thanks.
Like what says, getting the impression that, people are ready to go, perhaps. He says, I believe that burdens, even those that seem interminable, or more honors than impediments. The things we carry are also the things that bolster us. So I wouldn't presume to suggest that your waiting period is anything but a necessary and enjoyable part of the task you are to perform. However, if there is something that you would have us carry with us, perhaps in your honor or in exchange, I would be happy to do so.
No, you want none of my gifts. But if in your future you see a man that looks and like waves his hand over his own, and the faces come clear one after another, and then back to that one, they may need your counsel, guidance, forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
You don't want to ask a question, Max? Really? Spirit of death stands before you and you have nothing you want to know? Fascinating.
Its business isn't mine.
Oh.
I mean, to be fair, it does do business in forces, just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like but not.
But no, this is a pleasant time, and when I return to the supernal realm, I will be what I am. And I will continue to be, and I have been for ever. But my role in the supernal realm has not yet come.
What was that, Chris?
Just Petrichor just being like, yeah, it is like that. I've learned enough time that it's sort of like that. All right.
Like it says, I will remember this face.
You and many others.
For my edification, this was like right after the place that made us sick.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
got it.
Just in case it's not clear at all, I'm dropping the face
picture?
The face of the man. Yeah. So folks at home, because nobody here, spoil it. If you can figure out who we're talking about, post it in the YouTube comments.
In the comments.
If to quote one of my other channels that I watch, if you get it right and you're the first one, I'll pin your comment so everybody can see that you were the smartest, fastest one to answer.
Or at least to do it the soonest after the video released.
Correct. Time zones are probably going to lean towards our European watchers, but hey, you never know.
You want us to avoid making hint-based jokes?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, sure.
But yes.
I think Isabel goes to like kind of just like pats Helena on the shoulder. And then, jumps off the cloud and
Takes back
like
to the air.
as she like starts to fly, I think she just like sort of absentmindedly puts her hands on her guns. It's like, I just okay.
Yeah. As she's stepping off the cloud after you, Helena's just like a dark future. I don't like anything about that.
Nope.
And yeah, I hope I don't
A small
live
comfort that we
to see it.
probably won't see it.
Mages live quite a bit, so
Yeah, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
it would be
mm-hmm.
exceptional for some of us to make it.
Yep.
To
Especially
what
y'all
the
play.
thing is.
But yeah, just
I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Wisdom. Come
He was
on
gonna
now, baby.
hang back just for a bit.
Yeah.
He watches you.
Do you want alone time? Is that what you wanted? Okay.
Yeah.
Then Legba pattern space so that he can walk off the cloud and stand in midair for a bit. And he looks at the being and bows at his hip and says, you know many of my names, but I would have you remember one. Friend. Because he says, a man is only a fool when he considers death an enemy rather than someone who walks beside him his whole life. And then he releases the space and starts flying away.
Yeah, you get, this kind of, half smile and a nod and like, okay, yeah, I'm okay with that. And turns over to Theodosia, who's looking like a crushing
Like
schoolgirl.
sparkly eyes. Yeah. It's always fascinating to me how people react to the presence of beings like you. Fear, worship, but you're none of those things.
I just am. Will be.
And a companion to everyone who walks a path.
So far.
It was lovely meeting you.
I hope we never meet.
He'll just let that go and take to the air in a little flurry of a couple of black feathers as she takes off after the rest.
So you all take to the sky, probably, and feel free to interject here with any telepathic conversation.
That was so cool.
you just get pointed silence.
It's like it's not even the quiet little hiss of like white noise. There's just completely
a little flat line of the radio scope. Right?
Yep.
Legba says, why not have him return to you?
Who do you say that to? Is that directed
to yeah, when you say that was so cool. If we're telepathic conversation, Legba says, why not have him return to you?
I relate to, for lack of a better word, I grok where they come from and what they mean to the world. It's just fascinating for me to see how other people react to them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from cradle to grave, they are your companion every step that you take in the path of life.
Indeed.
They're like a friend.
As I said.
They've witnessed everything that you've seen and been by your side the entire time.
Yes.
Perhaps I wish to be greeted with an old friend and not one yet unexperienced in the world.
Mm.
Mm.
As much as a fan of new experiences as I am, I can't say my death should be one of them.
Yeah, you only get to do that once. So, for most people, at least.
Yeah, that's so true.
Like Bus says, I've come to realize that death isn't a single event. Death is the culmination of life. You can only have a good death if you have a good life. The
That's pretty
event
good.
itself might be less brutal, but if you brutalize others and you die softly in your bed, your death is not good because your life was not. And in the same way, if you treated others greatly, yet you received brutality in the end, it is tragic. You met such an end, but it was the end to a good life, and you will be remembered greatly for your deeds.
Isabel just like swoops down and like flies like in your face and is like, if I have crashed upon the shore and washed away all in my path and fizzle out as I cross across the mountain range, I have lived a good life.
I understand what you're saying, but I have to disagree. I think that you can have a good death even if you've had a terrible life. You can live a good life and have a terrible death. I think it's how you meet death that defines whether it's good or bad.
Regardless of the journey.
That's right. It's your destination. How do you cross that threshold? How do you make that transition?
think the
Isn't it
final
great
step-
when Craig says these things and hasn't read the books? Sorry.
Like
carry
Bush
on.
shrugs. And
Maybe.
say, I mean, which is kind of hard with the wings, but think of
Mhm.
a telepathic shrug, and he says, you know how important it is to me to value journeys. It is not that I think destinations are irrelevant. It is just that, in the same way that Isabel is trying to aggressively say to me, it is the sum of your deeds that suggests the value of your life and the consequence of your end. And I am willing to accept that perhaps it is a nice ornament in the end. Not that death is irrelevant or the manner of your death is irrelevant, just that you are measured, you are weighed by what you have done before you get to that point. I think that is why it is important to live. I think that is why it is important to test yourself.
And from my point, and I don't agree with the testing, but from my point of view, death isn't a destination. It's just the beginning of a new journey.
Mm. Okay.
Before I let you two wax too philosophical,
We do that.
I'm just trying very hard because, like, I don't want to respond as Ash because, like, I know what Helena thinks of this.
Mhm.
She's
Mhm.
like,
Oh,
she
yeah.
doesn't like think preachers have anything to say, but she still believes in like God and heaven and
Mhm.
like, yeah, when you die, you go to heaven and your soul lives in eternity with our Lord.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and because there's the faith there because I think Isabel is in the same place, right? So,
Yeah.
Like, it's not bad. You shouldn't rush to get there, but
you got stuff to do before you get there. Yep. So yes, the conversation I'm sure carries on,
Yes.
and we
Mhm.
have these four flying mages through this maelstrom of effects and weather and things like that, and discussing philosophically the the nature of death because that's mage. Uh, and we have more swirling weather effects, twisting nature of uh the whole maelstrom itself. And you are definitely starting to get tired. because you have had one landing for a little bit, so we're getting some of that lactic acid buildup, but in a weird new place because it's in your wings, and that feels really new for some of you. And you realize that you will definitely need to find some place to land and rest. And the last place you saw was back there with the supernal being. So either we'll need to make some rest or find something.
Legba says, Isabel, can you perceive? No, that's sorry, not Isabel. He says, Petrichor, can you perceive any structures nearby? Sufficient rigidity.
Maybe we can just solidify a cloud, can't we?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of things we could do. He can
That's
make
what I
an
was
empty
thinking,
space. He
like-
can stand on. I got lots of options, but he's asking a
Use
question.
forces to make a cloud bed.
So if she doesn't, right, then he can cast a wide space knowing spell, campus size, as we scan, or he can just create an invisible platform that we can stand on. There are lots of solutions, right? Like we have a matter mage who can solidify the air and stuff like that too. But that's why I was just asking if you saw it, because she's taking the lead.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can. I don't think she would particularly care how we found a way to rest.
Okay. Then, like, his preference would be to see if there's anything that actually exists here before creating one. And so then he would cast an instantaneous improvised spell of space knowing with max scale.
Can't you just see it?
Yeah, but I just mean if it's past the range of his vision or something like that. So cool. And if he doesn't perceive anything, right, he would just be instantly like, is there a rigid space?
There is.
Like space knowing. Cool, great.
Yes. Notes. Here we go. Yes. Like you have, and we've discussed, I can't remember exactly the range that we had of the inward outward eye, because that's based on your actual sight. But off in the distance, there is not just like a solid ground, but structure. But it is, probably another 2-hour flight. But yeah, now that you have looked out for something, well, actually, no, probably less than 2-hour flight because campus size. Yeah. So, yeah, more or less. Actually, yeah, right around the corner, we're coming up on something. Otherwise, it would just be out of your vision or out of your range, and that wouldn't be any fun. So yes, you see, or rather sense, that there is not just like one of these little blops of, cloud that you would like stand tippy toe on and like, okay, we're gonna stand here for a minute to rest our wings, but like a building out, a little ways away. But it does require you going down into the clouds below you.
And like what would say, there is an edifice below at insert distance. Would you like us to rest before we enter?
No, we'll be fine.
Not.
The Blue Angels formation flyings, the four of you dip.
Farting out blue and gold.
I don't quite get that reference. Anyway,
Those are
sorry.
just the streamer colors, just letting out the planes. Never mind.
And yes, dipping into, and vision contracts for lots of folks. More lightning. This time, Isabel's spell really does some work because you have lightning zipping literally around you rather than actually striking you and passing out, which Petrichor did that one time. Don't recommend. Has the scars
On
to
the other
prove it.
hand,
Lightning bend.
That's true.
that's how you get a legacy.
Yep. And so yes, it's, maybe 5 minutes down into the clouds, and the sound becomes deafening. Telepathy is helping you communicate, but lightning flash thunder, and it is definitely like, oh yeah, this is the big storms you'd see out, come in and watch and be like, well, I sure am glad I have a structure to be in and I'm not one of the cowboys, because that's going to suck to be in. And as you fly forward, following Legba's directions, you see amongst lightning flashes, what would it kind of look like? I'm trying to think structurally what you would recognize. It appears to be similar to up above with the Tempestari clouds lashed together, but some of them don't match. So this isn't like dark storm clouds amongst dark storm clouds. There is some of that, but then there's also some really white, fluffy, like cumulonimbus, I think is the right term, and smashed up, almost marshmallow-esque to other darker stuff. And then there's some like streaming, more narrow stuff. And it is hodgepodge, Frankensteinian-esque, Promethean-esque. How big would we say? We would say like a keep, right? So it is not some huge sprawling Disney castle, but you've got a big center fortress. You've got some other assigned buildings, and you have a literal wall built up with parapets and crenulations. Bust out my vocabulary.
Great.
And nothing else. There is a distinct lack of supernal beings anywhere near this thing. But as you're flying in and you've got lightning kind of lightning lightening the structure, you can also see that somebody is home, or at least left the lights on, because through some windows you can see candlelight flickering in a couple different places.
What a waste. Just open the shutters.
Well, to be fair, you are being pummeled by rain.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, but yes, distinct lack of even some of the smaller supernal beings. So in more genre savvy language, this is the big spooky castle up on the mountain. Yep.
I'm glad we took that shortcut through the dark and scary looking woods.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly.
We made the right choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doing the quick, flyby, what do we see? There's an actual like courtyard within. There is no large exterior door to the walls.
Just land in the courtyard.
Right. And immediately have the sense of your peripheral mage sights going off. Probably even as you kind of came in, various spells that are holding this thing together. And some really esoteric, weird stuff that like you forces folks and Theodosia with matter are looking at like, I can't tell if this is you or me. It's probably both. Making these things into stuff. There's like, now that you're here and landed, there is, for instance, a rake that appears to be made out of a bolt of lightning paused.
Cool.
There is like some structures, like you have a lot of the building materials, we'll say, made out of cloud of various flavors. You're starting to notice, like, okay, yes, we did the exterior wall in storm cloud, but we wanted this courtyard to be a little bit lighter and stuff like. And you can see, like, there's some decision making that went into this, and it almost makes sense. But then, yes, lots of the other materials, because you were realizing that other than the water vapor that is in the clouds, there hasn't been any matter besides that, right? So like you have I'm trying to think of other things that might be in this courtyard, and I'm drawing a complete blank, but things that are, there's a bench that appears to be made of fire, paused.
Paused, like with forces and matter, not time.
Double checking my notes here. Yes, this would entirely be forces and matter. No time here. Yeah.
Interesting.
Like, so if it were shaping from matter, but done with forces, just freeze those flames exactly where they are, and getting close, you're like, ooh, those are warm. Actually, now this makes sense as a bench. It'd be a nice little, sit. Yeah. Does Petrichor sit and try the bench?
Absolutely.
You do the same thing with Shadow.
Yeah, for sure.
It's pretty cool. You can preserve heat while keeping something stable. Way to go, mage.
Yeah.
Not completely. It's not absolute zero, right? It's not frozen.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
The heat from motion is
fire
present, but there's no motion,
Kelvin.
right?
Yeah. That's tricky. Yeah, the scientists are over here scratching their heads, and the mages are like,
not
no, that
supposed to be
completely
able to
makes
do that. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you just take the fire and you put it in a square.
Yeah.
How hard is this? Come on.
My apprentice can do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on now, jeez.
Jules, meanwhile, is like, no. Is that how that works? So yeah, you guys have a rest. Standing in the courtyard. I imagine you all are polite enough.
A rest in that I'm not flying anymore. It's not a rest in that I'm just sitting in one place.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to find.
Yeah, somebody's got to be here.
Yeah.
Okay. So because that's what I was going to ask.
I'd rather not be surprised by the fact that there's someone here.
Also true. So it sounds like the two of you at least are going to go like find a door to knock on or give a holler. Okay.
Yeah.
Baba Sarah and Legba, are you doing similar, or are you guys more investigating what's here in the courtyard? Excuse me.
Everyone wants to know how much space is taken up in the structure.
1-to-1. It has not been expanded in any kind of spacey way.
Gotcha. Thank you. No, he's not going to cast a spell to figure out where any mines are, because he figures it was somebody's home.
Correct.
The polite thing to do is knock on a door. So,
of note, your inward-outward eye does not, like, you look in the windows and you're used to being able to like see, and your inward-outward eye just shows you what you can see with your eyes. Into the structure. Like, as you came in, you could see like the inside walls and stuff like that. No big deal. But as soon as looking at the keep and all its stuff, for you, I imagine, instead of being your big panoramic view, you're just like, oh, I am suddenly limited to 2D vision. It's been a while since I've done this. Kind of, yeah.
Why won't those structures fold down?
Right. Why isn't it flat?
Was so long that you couldn't look through a wall.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're just gonna,
that's the face. What the heck is this?
What was that, Craig? One more time.
Like you're just gonna follow Isabel, I think.
Okay.
Like a dog bumping into a storm door.
Yes, exactly. Hey.
Cool. So yes, there is the very classic, large double doors in the pattern of wood planks, but still more of that dark storm cloud. And thump on it, and it definitely doesn't sound like wood, but there's some solidity. You can hear some sound. There's a good knock to it. And then there is some form of exclamation, and it's definitely an expletive, but for those of you who are fluent in high speech, you hear the word expletive.
Yes. Because you can't really do it, but you can say it. That's fantastic.
First you say it, then you do it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
And then silence.
Greetings.
Quizzical expletive. And then a sound and with that, a sense of the sound moving as whoever is saying it is in motion. And then a head pops out from the window and looking down at the four of you. And where are we here? Craig waves. Excuse me. Babasera waves. And what looks like a normal man pokes his head out in a what we would say kind of Middle Eastern Persian descent, tone to skin and expression, morphology, very, very smooth, everyday shaved head,
with a razor,
a very classic scholar's beard, waxed and braided.
Nicely pointed.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Does
it bifurcate at the end and have little beads on the bottom?
So
it's wax come down and just a little split at the bottom with two little beads.
Yep. It is now. Yeah. It is very much a taking care of myself. I'm going to, make myself look the way I want to feel, even though there's clearly nobody who's going to be visiting to see him. Right.
But he's going to see himself.
Right. And looks out and just staring down at the four of you with the expression of somebody has lit dog poop on fire at my front door, but also kind of impressed that somebody managed to. So there's that disgust, but begrudging, good job, and just stares, kind of waiting, expectantly.
Does not have fluent high speech, so she just sort of stumbles over rest, tired, entrance, question.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. And turns away from the window and makes its way down. And yes, entirely speaking in high speech, you never hear another language spoken. Just to be clear about this character. But yes, comes down, the doors fling open, and big grand gesture, and dude is rocking the Persian luxury robes, kind of silk. They're decorated. And it is entirely scholarly. This guy either was or is at least patterning himself as some kind of Persian scholar mystic kind of thing. This isn't go ahead.
Can I clarify whether you mean ancient Babylonian?
Yes.
Sort of. Okay.
Yeah.
Or I didn't know if you meant
more recent
Islamic caliphate sort of.
Yeah. No, old school.
That's what I was picturing. I was picturing the
given the trappings
scientist.
in his appearance and Theo's reading when she was a kid. Quick death sight. Does this guy have a soul?
He does.
Okay. He's not like a djinn or something.
Yeah. And Drew, some of the first things that you all saw coming in here were men of fire. You're that's out of Arabian Nights.
Arabian Nights.
Yeah. But yes, no, this is like some old school, BCE kind of look. And again, it is hard to place him. His appearance, he does have like he's got some wrinkles at the eyes and stuff
Alive?
like that. Yes, because he also has a soul. Yes, but that's fair. Not necessarily the same thing. Yes. Yeah. LifeSight says there's a heartbeat. Doesn't appear ill. Actually appears in like you wouldn't say like the height of fitness or anything like that, but for a guy who looks like he's in his 70s,
Living
he's
in the
got
middle of a storm.
where he is, he but look in
So
70s,
stressful.
he looks good. He gets out to the gym, he's eating healthy, and then you're like, what is he eating?
Yeah.
Yep.
He's got a Bowflex in here.
Yes. He's the Bowflex
He made a
bod on a
Bowflex from
70-year-old.
lightning bolts.
Yeah.
The Bowflex is just a bow which you have to flex really hard to
Big
draw.
steel thing, right?
Exactly. He just brought an old bow.
I mean, in terms of doing workouts, yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, and so he's standing there, and he's got like and like the robes, like I said, scholar occult mystic robes. So there are symbols and shapes and things like that. It's not all necessarily high speech, but it is very like I am old school mysticism, kind of stuff, and stands there and like just oozing pride and strength and like this is my house, my sanctum, and just like waits expectantly. Like a very like ceremony ritual, expectation kind of thing.
Shit, we gotta remember what did those fucking New York? Hey, wait, you know this? What do those New York dorks talk about going to other people's sanctums?
Oh, the rules.
Yeah.
We don't have those out in Colorado.
I didn't pay attention that day, and getting lectured at by New Yorkers day of class.
I mean, if they let you in.
He'll pipe up and say, "We're seeking hospitality." In fluent high speech.
I can give you hospitality. Like steps back, motions you in individually. Like you can come in, you can come in, you can come in, you can come in, and then looks about, and like pauses and looks at Petrichor very, very closely, up and down, and motions towards your bag of stuff and your flute. Actually, now that I think about it, Craig, I think you would also be red flagged because you have a skull in your bag.
Yes.
And like motions.
Theo produces the skull.
Gets closely inspected, nods, and looks over at the flute, spirit, and then
that spirit's hiding.
Motions, motions the motions the flute away, and then looks down at the pistol. And then finishes. Okay, you can come. It's like, all right, hang on. Who exactly am I letting in this house? Because there's your bodies here, but who else is riding along?
Yeah.
Do you require anything in exchange for this hospitality?
Pleasant conversation, I'm sure.
We are more than happy to provide it.
But yeah, stepping back.
Try best.
I'm just going to politely nod.
Like, speak good. Like, I say, my good fellow, would you mind picking us up for the night?
Well, on the plus side, you have telepathy to help translate.
Yeah.
What was that, Ash?
Yep.
Yeah, because I'm catching like every third word he's saying. But yeah, Helena's just going to like very properly and politely bow. Just sort of a
question. Does
body
she
language,
bow or does she
you.
curtsy?
I feel like in this form she's bowing.
Yeah, because that's true. Because this is warrior her. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. The inside actually has some of the first matter that you all have seen. There is
Ooh, cool.
wood on the walls. There's like really gorgeous marble tile. Like this is a luxurious. It's not ostentatious, right? But it is like this is a small palace, right? So the wood is not like the pine planks that y'all have back in Colorado. This is some nice rich, maybe cherry. It's got some color to it, right? And it is very clearly like I made this place that I have to live in nice, right? There is this first lower level that you're on that has kind of a parlor kind of feel to it. There's there's a couch and two chairs sitting around a table. There's a actual hookah. Actually, it might be. I can't remember how long those are used, so they might not actually be. I would have to look up the actual historical accuracy. But there's levels of we'll say indulgences and luxuries that are here that are clearly having been used, right? They're not just sitting there. So there's like um, bottles of wine, and they have various levels of depletion. um but yeah, it is a comfortable living space. There is a set of wood stairs that lead up to another level that looks down, then another that leads into a trap door sort of thing on another level. And then also here at this level, there's a door that looks like it would lead into a basement, which for Legba is probably like, oh, I didn't even sense that. It's just this solid stuff. Yeah, so there's some level of structure beneath as well. But he, welcomes you all in, motions for you all to sit between the couch and the two chairs. There's basically space for the four of you to sit while he stands. Okay, yeah. So hookah would probably be not there. He's a little more old school than the origin of a hookah, and tobacco.
He's probably got pipes of other things though.
Yeah. But motions for you all four to sit, and then I am. Yes. Find the right names. Ahibahu.
Does anything show up with time or fate sight about anything stand out about this guy? Does he have a destiny? Or has he?
He doesn't have
This says no if they come from the past, but
right. No, he doesn't appear to have like jump forward with like time stutter, whatever that one is, or anything like that. No. Stutter. He does appear, with a just kind of glance with time, like dude's old. Dude's real old. This would be up in that category of like, well, mage living for a really long time is actually not difficult so long as you're not worried about the spell being destroyed. And that's because of that you get liches. This guy seems to be doing it the old school. No, I'm just using spells to stay alive for a long time.
I think Petrichor has like fallen back a bit with Helena, since we're the dumb ones that can't talk.
Yeah, Helena is very specifically
like,
not trying to open her mouth and make a fool of herself to this guy.
Yep.
Hopefully willing to bet that this guy doesn't speak Spanish. And she relays that he's actually as old as he seems.
You also have telepathy for that.
I mean, sure,
Sure.
but
No, that's
sometimes
fine.
you just gotta talk out loud.
Just-
It's
Sure.
it's not a show that he's putting on. It's part of his like persona.
The floor's made of actual matter.
Actual marble tiles. Those big
Yeah, I
kind
don't
of
think he's the
flagstone
weirdest thing we've seen today. Basically, just kind of like, okay,
That's debate worthy, but
if him out of context, yeah, not very weird. In context, kind of weird. I'm with you.
It's not our wish to inconvenience you more than necessary.
I'm going to pause you real quick just to remind everybody of the conversation. He introduced himself by name.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. I was about
Yes.
to.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah, I got distracted. I am Baba Sarah.
Welcome.
I'm Legba.
Welcome.
Gentle elbow to.
We got it. We heard that much. And she speaks with like, I mean, a shadow name pretty much becomes a full like high speechable thing, right?
Mhm,
So
yep.
it's the full petrichor, the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
Max. Bow again.
Which, like all the others, like, like there's no immediate meaning that you can get from that, other than like it's max, not maximum, right? It's it's like that is a name, so like that's not coming across in high speech. What is that? So there's definite pause, and is everybody seated? Nobody's doing
Before we sit for the conversation through telepathy, Legba says to Petrichor and Max, would you like for me to give you the ability to speak as fluently as we do while we are here?
Can we do that?
Legba could.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Then he says to her host, he says, I would like to permit all my companions to speak as easily as I and Baba Sarah do with you. Do I have your permission to cast a spell in your sanctum?
Yes, please.
And then he turns around to both of them and touches them on the shoulders and casts an improvised spell of mind and prime to give them a duration fluency in high speech, just basically granting the merit fluent high speech.
Yep.
So in full high speech, Isabel just goes, damn, bro, this is some place you got.
Yeah.
And there's some wiggle room that you have to do with language, but in this case, instead of damn brother, it's more like expletive sibling, and it's like and yeah, Ahibahu looks at you and nods and smiles, because I think Petrichor is absolutely willing to say expletive, right?
Yeah.
Which he himself had just done, and he's like, he smiles, he's like, okay, we it's like he's still sticking to ceremony and ritual. It's very clear, but it's like, okay, we are willing to be a little more relaxed. We're letting our hair down just a little bit, and so that gets a real big smile out of him. Thank you. I have endeavored long to build it perfectly.
Very long?
Quite a bit, yes.
Uh-huh.
Question. It's not our desire to inconvenience you any more than we already have, or to minimize that inconvenience.
I would like to inconvenience you with some questions, I'll be honest. I'm extremely curious.
Would it be all right if I were to extrude a chair from the floor so that we all might sit in comfort?
I thought he had furniture.
There's a couch.
Place for people to sit.
Right, yeah.
Not
and he smiles. He's like, thank you. Please rest. I will bring tea. Walks upstairs, and you hear the sound of a pot coming to boil, and pouring of water and stuff like that. And then a little scraping. There's a chair upstairs. But no, because I love the idea of like, clearly you have these 4 chairs. Why I can make another one? And he's like, no, I got one upstairs.
Yeah,
Because
have
for me, this is
Mhm.
quintessential mage, right? Where it's like, oh, we don't have a chair. I can make one. It's like,
Yeah.
it's actually just right there.
It's just,
Yeah. But yeah, and so brings down
He
with
comes
actually
back and gives you the folding chair.
brings down in what and with surprising dexterity, actually, because of life magic, I would say, really good dexterity comes down this set of stairs with a chair and platter of teacups, sets the chair down for himself, kind of completing a little circle, and sets down the platter and the teacups and sets them out, and then begins to gently pour. There's little dishes of just honey, no cream, and just kind of sets that there, and like dollops up a little honey himself and
Right.
and like looks at you all and says, to your question, you are welcome to ask questions so long as every one of your questions is in, as long as I get to answer or ask one of you all. And
Great.
as you can already see, we speak high speech here, so that there are no lies amongst us.
Isn't the whole thing with fluent high speech is that you can lie?
It is not reduced to a chance die. So, but
Okay.
yes. Now, for like in character, yes, but that's also the
Yeah.
thing of high speech fluency, where you're like, I'm getting around this thing where I can't say an untruth while I can kind of do it, depending,
Right.
It's the being
Okay.
careful of your words, right?
Right. All right.
Yes. Yeah, which, I think Petrichor could probably like red flag and go, actually, that's not what that means.
I won't say it out loud though.
Right. Yeah. But it is definitely for Legba and Babasera for sure one of those like, no, we could definitely lie if I'm careful. Right. So yeah, very important.
Well, you can't use subterfuge, is that it doesn't reduce expression to a chance die.
Oh, is subterfuge still okay?
Yeah,
Cool,
you
cool,
can't
cool.
you can't lie in high speech, but
Yeah.
you can use expression
Mhm.
To obfuscate.
circumlocuate.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It also be
Circumloquate,
more
right? You can
highfalutin.
speak around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can avoid telling the truth. You just can't outright say something that is untrue.
There you go. Yeah. He sits back and like, were you going to ask a question?
I was going to say what Petrichor does.
Okay.
Which is that she's going to, on the spot of the moment, he's given us tea and shelter, and it's it's a part of her being to sort of want to pay off that with the song.
Ooh, yeah.
And so she has her first attempt at crafting a song in high speech.
Yes.
Roll that expression.
Awesome.
Couple successes.
Yeah, 2
There you
successes. And so like he's ready for like the question and answer round, and I think he even opens his mouth because he's going to get the first question, right?
Mhm.
And then
Right.
all of a sudden the flute comes
And
out.
I'm anticipating that and essentially giving a like story song of how we came to be here.
Okay. Well, actually, I like that. So he sits and sips and like goes from like we're about to play 20 questions to entertainment. Okay. And like and is genuinely listening. It's it's not your best work, but it was more than passable. Especially
for sure.
like you said, first time I'm trying to do this in high speech. This is like doing push-ups with but your hands tied behind your back. Do you know how hard this is?
I
got a strong tongue.
Would not have assumed that gravity and well-being rhymed until this moment.
Yep. So he nods and smiles and listens through, and you got, give him the kind of roundabout. Do you mention any specific things about like your journey so far and your goal?
Yeah.
Or okay,
Straight up, completely honest and open.
Cool.
Just, this is where we came from. This is what we've done. This is what we're looking for.
cool. So he nods. He says yes.
And like, there's like a bit of a almost like joke in there of like, apologies for anticipating your questions and robbing you of the opportunity to ask, but yeah.
So he smiles.
But then it's also like, I have done this so that you can ask the questions that you might really want to ask.
To know.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Because that's where he was headed. He's like, well, thank you, because that answers my first question. Yes, the father of the new death is a interesting being. And
Father of New Death.
Father of New Death, yes. The one she sang about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Noting the name.
He and others of his kind are here. This seems to be a place of... Oh, here you are getting me answering questions that you haven't even asked yet. No, let me ask you all. Sits back, sips a little bit. What can you tell me? What? How does he put this? What is my home like these days? West of the Euphrates.
I don't know that we would know a lot.
We know
This would
the
be
Crusades.
a good history roll or academics
Crusades. Yeah, that's true.
Politics, even?
Politics would be okay. That'd be kind of like the more modern situation.
Yeah, I'm at a -3 on academics rolls.
There we go.
Woo!
Look at that.
Yeah,
I use a willpower on it.
sure. It's worth it. Impress your host.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna
That
see.
Willie in there.
I'm gonna see what I get.
Max racks her brain and goes,
The Euphrates.
I got nothing.
Make it a dramatic failure.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because you got to pull in the geography too. Yeah. No, I like that because Isabel's got that old school, Spanish nobility, childhood. It's like, oh yeah, no, I know the Euphrates. Yeah. This is a very important, place in history. And so you're able to fire off with, some of the stuff that is currently going on. And in your kind of like, what do I remember? What are the big bullet points? He nods his head like, I've heard of that. And then you get into more recent stuff, right? And he's like, oh, okay, this is new stuff. So at some point or another, he's been out and, since, the BCE, era. And, he didn't also, his like, look at your garb and stuff like that. He's not taken aback at, these weird outfits, right? So he gets out occasionally, but so listening, he nods and smiles and, oh, this is good. This is good. I do not get out much.
Why do you not just look from here?
That's a question, dog. You can't waste them like that.
He smiles and nods, and I imagine Petrichor even says that.
I'm prepared to pay all prices if you would.
And smiles and nods, and it's like, this is the question game. No, I cannot look out because I have not studied such arcana.
Smiles wide.
I feel a humble brag coming on.
Hang on, let me go back to his.
So
Mhm,
in like talking through what I know of like relatively recent history,
mhm,
um, because like not that long ago there was like a revolution
mhm.
in Iraq and stuff like that, and then they like seceded from the Ottomans,
Yes, yeah, that's true. Yeah, because we had the Ottoman Empire just
which I
really getting
think is
riled up around here.
yeah,
Mhm. So
yeah,
yeah, he recognizes the idea that the Ottoman Empire was a thing, but the revolution is new to him. Then, to
mm,
give you kind of
okay,
context of how up to date he is.
mhm.
Um, so he looks to Legba and sits back, setting his tea down. It's the most interesting supernal being you've met. That is not the father of the new death.
Hmm. He strokes his chin and he says,
While you were thinking, Ralph is welcome to invent a supernal being that
"Oh
Legba
yeah, cool.
may
Oh
have
great. Okay,
summoned sometime in
fantastic.
the past 10 years,
Yeah.
right?
So excellent. Great. I was hoping that you would give me that opportunity. As you know, I'm limited in those that I can summon. This has caused me no small amount of frustration and confusion in equal measure. I met an imp that broke a promise to me by baiting me into breaking one myself. And I did not know that they could engage in such duplicity, which is what led to me thinking that perhaps many of the things they tell us can be obfuscations, although they persist in the supernal, the realm of truth. I do not believe that all of them think in truth. I believe that many of them think in untruths, and they present a false
Mm,
face to us.
Mm.
I don't know about untruths.
Yeah. Well, and that's where Ahibahu, says, no, and Nas is like, I don't know that they are untruths, but their thinking is different than ours. So it may lead to things that we do not understand, especially things
He
that.
he, motion, he motions to that and he says, I'm familiar with that. I've been thinking about this a long time. And what I mean to suggest is that truth is a matter of subjectivity. If it were impossible for that to be true, we would not be able to work our will to insist that something that we believe is truth when it disagrees with that of someone else. So I think it is indeed possible. And they are just lying to us about that. And he says, he doesn't use air
Mm,
quotes, but he uses like obfuscating the fact that they are capable of it.
mhm. Supernal beings are an interesting thing, aren't they?
Well, what is your focus, reasoning, life's purpose to have built a keep in a storm?
Well, when I first met you all, I thought you would have the same thought, but you seek a specific being, while I seek um, what I imagine the birthplace of them, or at least some of them.
Um, okay. I was gonna ask another question, but I gotta be patient.
It's his turn.
Yeah. Um, Let's see here. So yeah, he looks from one to the next, and then just kind of to the room. Where was it? Yeah. Have any of you returned to the supernal realm since your awakening?
I don't believe that's
No.
possible.
Macbeth's an answer, and he says, "It wouldn't let me."
I mean, to be fair, 3 of you have come close. You stood on a golden path once, but
Mm-hmm.
didn't actually make it into the supernal realm. So he nods.
True.
But Leg was referencing traveling the Anima Mundi
Mm-hmm.
and trying to will himself to get in there.
Yep. That didn't
As
work
it was
very well.
foretold, and it
Yeah.
didn't work. Just didn't work at all.
This is weird, that abyss thing. Just real party pooper.
You didn't intrude on the awakening that what's his name had?
Mm-mm. M. Scrolling down.
Salazar.
Salazar, yeah. Yep. No, I don't think. Legba got a lot of wisdom.
Yeah, like what says, like what says, what's it say? I let people poop in peace.
Have their private time, yeah.
I haven't, but I'm very interested in the process by which a fragment of the supernal comes to inhabit somebody in our world.
Yes, the lustrum, the awakening itself. Such a
And
fantastic
how
concept.
how to cause one to bring one about as an
Oh,
act of will.
if only we knew the things we could do
Exactly.
then.
Exactly.
Technically, y'all's question.
Mhm.
How long have you been here? Well, by that more, what I want to know is like, how are you as old as you are? Like, how have you lived this long?
It's like, that is quite easy. Time does not pass here. Or rather, it doesn't affect those who are here.
It's moving out there, but
I am more or less 30 years older than when I first entered this place. But that was quite some time ago. It is similar to what archmasters do with their golden road and their chantries.
Yeah,
Of course, I have no control over this place.
Yeah, we've seen that.
Have you? And you see him like
I caught the other one before too but
it wasn't his turn.
Mhm.
But this one was, so yeah, you get a
Mhm.
freebie.
Since it's a freebie, I'll just go with the easy one of.
Oh no, this is also me filling because he doesn't have too many questions to ask y'all. So.
Sure.
Okay, great. Perfect.
What path is he? My question amounts to asking him what path. What path
I'm trying to think of how he would say it. But yeah, he busts out the like, oh, I am sworn to the tower of, and it is not a tower you have heard of, but you do recognize an Abrimos when you hear it. Yeah, so like, because I can't remember what the current tower name is. But yes, he mentioned something similar to storms and lightning flashes and angelic choirs, and you're like, oh, okay, he's in a Primos.
So that he knows a tower by a different name.
Correct.
Fascinating.
That isn't too unusual, because if you think of history and, us using different terms for the same thing, things like that. I think the Moros talk about their tower having grown. So if I will not be considered impolite, how long will you stay here? Not, and he means the verge itself. Emanation realm, excuse me.
Long enough.
As long as it takes to find what we're looking for.
And get the answers we seek.
You are welcome to visit and rest. I have but one bedroom, but kind of nods at the couch. It's like, I have taken many a nap there. It is quite comfortable.
Having solid ground beneath us to rest is sufficient.
A place to rest our wings.
Magnificent, by the way.
Like says, would you like to make an exchange, or at least accept a gift of in exchange for your hospitality?
Depends on the gift.
He nods and he says, you said you were not trained in the way to see beyond where you are now. Yet I am. I am also of the ability to perhaps enchant an area such that you might glimpse beyond this place to somewhere else.
He holds his hand up and smiles and says, I thank you for the offer of the gift. The world outside of this realm no longer matters to me. I ask of my home of pure curiosity. It is far beyond what it once was. And maybe when I leave here again, I will go and see where my home once stood. But I already know it is rubble, dirt now. It is passing fancy to check in and see the age of the world from the eyes of other visitors to this place. But the offer is appreciated.
I understand that. Go ahead, Chris.
We come from far to the west. So this was only a bit of passing knowledge of a
Foreign realm.
classroom sort.
He nods and smiles. What were you saying, Ruff?
Like it says, a place is more than stones that can be eroded by the winds of time. And I find myself often comforted by memories of the people, my natal land, still walk and breathe. It does not matter much where they are. And sometimes seeing a child of my ilk running and playing in the sunshine is a welcome balm to my weary soul. So for the duration of our stay, if you so decide that you would occasionally like to glimpse upon the face of an enchanted babe, do let me know.
He nods, and I'm going to say meta-wise, there is this expression on his face. It's not disgust, but it is this, especially for Legba, from where you're coming from, of utter dismissal of like your is the equivalent of, I've just offered this guy some chicken nuggets and he's treating it as if I offered him dog treats. Yes, it is edible, but it is just so far beneath him that it's just like, okay, I get that you're trying to offer me something here, but it's absolutely not for me.
But no, really not interested.
Right. And yeah, that is, and this is why I'm saying meta-wise, probably one of the bigger glimpses of this guy is somewhere else in his line of thinking compared to y'all. It probably smacks of Archmage Rilla. This guy is not an Archmage. I'm going ahead and let y'all know that. But yeah, he's just somewhere else. He's trying real hard.
Which means he's going to fail. He went the wrong way. He left behind the thing that makes you Archmage. The people.
What?
Oh, I just mean you can't force your way to be an Archmage.
Gotta work that quiescence.
You gotta do it. You gotta be a person.
Quintessence, that's the one. Yeah, quiescence is a whole other thing.
You gotta be a person.
Yep. So, oh yes. So your question was your offer. So, let's see here. So, looks to Max and asks, while you are here, would you perhaps aid me in a summoning?
Of course. That's a fair trade for offering us hospitality and shelter.
Thank you. That would be wonderful. We'll address that later. Please continue to rest, relax. Based off, as Petrichor said, you have been flying for quite some time, and I understand if you all need sleep or actually, and kind of looks down at the tea and says, do you need food?
Yes.
That was
Thank you.
Appreciated.
And so he rises up from his chair, gives it like this little short bow, and makes his way into what looks like, the larder, the butler's pantry off of the salon, and begins to fetch out some form of food, which we'll discuss next time.
Big surprise.
Yeah.
It's going to be a bunch of dates and almonds. It's like, that's all I got, guys. What do you expect?
I have been sitting here thinking, I'm like, I have to think through some of the logic because I know what his arcana is, and it's like, what can he actually have in here? So
if he has life, he can have whatever he wants.
Correct. He doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
He would have whatever he had brought in from like the last time he was down there.
Right. He's got some other tricks up his sleeve.
Oh wait, he has matter. If he has matter, he can just have all of the macronutrients. He can have the matrix slurry,
The soylent powder.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I've been sitting kind of thinking about. So yeah, I'm like, I'll figure out next week what he has and what kind of form it is, because is
my nutrient base not appetizing to you?
Yes.
Does he need to eat? Do we technically need to eat in this world where time isn't affecting us?
Yeah.
Yes. Because you are still moving your body, you are burning calories.
Okay.
But you are not aging, which is one of those funny little like, well, which is it? Well, yeah. But, yeah. Magic.
It works this way because we said so.
Right. Yeah. Ahibahu, I've been waiting for this guy.
What a weird dude.
He is a weird dude.
Bizarre. I like him a lot.
Yes. Oh, good.
I just think anytime it's like something like this where a wizard has just truly gone fully off the grid, I'm just like, I think of how weird I get on like a long weekend by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, for 3,000 years you've been out here? Oh, yep. This guy's got nothing left.
Yeah, well, he's still able to talk.
Bear in mind, he's not alone.
All the supernals.
All the supernals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why I mentioned that he knows the father of New Death. It's just, who his usual conversation partners are just not human. So yes,
But they got cloud dogs.
yeah. I don't know how much conversation you're having with something that sounds like thunder when it yaps. You thought Layla was bad.
Layla.
He just talks to the robots from Interstellar.
Yeah.
For thousands of years.
Oh.
Man, now that I know that there's cloud dogs.
Like, wait, hang on. This place might not be so bad. Yeah.
We've had one.
Yeah.
We've had the time dog for a while now.
Yep.
You've had the time dog.
I mean, sure.
Yep.
I can't see it.
Fair.
Yep. That's very true.
Yeah. The time dog. None of you have seen it.
Yep. Good stuff.
Yeah, you keep going on about the time dog. Jeez, yeah, we get it.
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
it's important to you. Sure. Okay.
We know. Max has actually seen it now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
That's right.
I think everyone's going to be like a Snuffleupagus from old Sesame Street.
That's right, exactly.
Yep. What's the one from Winnie the Pooh? Heffalumps. Yeah, so there's a couple different things. If you recognize these things, if you know the thing we were talking about earlier, if you know, send in the lobsters. Any of those comments down in the YouTube. Are we desperate for comments? No. Is it just this kind of episode? Yes. If you want to
tell us about a supernal that we didn't see on screen.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
Because your supernal OCs in our YouTube comments.
Yeah. If you want to come hang out with us in Discord, we highly recommend it. It's a wacky, fun, and fairly supportive place. That's www.yeetinto.space. If you'd like to support us monetarily, that's www.staylucky.club. Feel no obligation. None of us are, relying on your money. So it just lets us buy art, really. We haven't had any technical difficulties. I apologize. Sorry, I don't know why I put that out there.
Don't put that out in the world.
You're put it out on the world and on the internet so people can replay it over and over again. I'm sorry.
Why does my computer sound like it's about to explode?
Aircraft carrier. Yeah. So yes, if you want to do that, thank you. We appreciate it. Comments, sharing, spread the word. That kind of stuff is really awesome. It means a lot to us. Until next time. Oh, hey, it hasn't happened yet, but I think maybe in the next week or two, you may catch an extra bonus episode because we did a thing last week. And it was really fun. And all of us finished and we were like, we should do more of this. So look forward to that. And that it's not even a real thing yet. It's only like a part of a thing. And it's really, really good. And I'm just going to keep dropping these little, teases in.
It's real delicious. It's juicy. So good.
I mean, never mind. I'm not going to go there. Thank y'all. Nope. We'll see you next time.
Bye.